This up here a little bit. There I am. All right. So this is going to be for airplay on May 24. I might have to change the title of it. But anyway, airplay for May 24. And we'll be starting here in about 10 minutes or so. So just getting things organized, getting things ready. Got a branding here to go to in the morning. So I will not be available. Durka, Muhammad Jihad. Oh, let's see. Get my phone system ready. I lost power today. I had to go through and redo like my whole phone system and everything. We had to. My generator is having some thermostat issues, so it didn't kick on. I shouldn't say that. It kicked on, but then it shut itself down because it had issues. What's going on, Josh? I gotta. What's up? Is I gotta pre-record my show for tomorrow. Jesse, I had actually a civil conversation with Jeb Williams after the Grazing Association meeting for about 8 minutes or so. So yeah, I got to go pre-recorded here today for tomorrow's program. So I got to be at the branding by 7:30, which means I got to get going in the morning and get some things loaded up and ready to go. Hope the wind goes down. Ugh. My God, it's chilly out there tonight. Yeah, 44 degrees. Okay. Hopefully. Throttle body. Okay. Huh. Throttle controller. Map sensor. Throttle assembly is why it shut down. It's fired up. Huh. Cool. Better than a new motor, right? There you go. So, but yeah, we had a decent conversation. I'll talk with a little bit about that with John here. He did not text me back, so I'm kind of concerned that he is, if he's ready or not. Yeah, so it's Jerry's branding tomorrow. I get a ride out at 7:30, and then I got to go to Lemon, South Dakota, and that night, tomorrow night, for a wedding for Shayna Mossbrucker / Maher family. And all that good stuff. What's up, Mr. Bulgy? Okay, there it is. Thanks, John. All right. He says, good deal. Yeah, I'm just timing this out the same way I do regular shows. That's why I'm waiting for the clock to go. I wouldn't have to, but it makes my life a lot easier when I can watch the clock and it feels the same. How much rain did you get? Okay, so over the last week, about 2.5 inches is what we got. So, which is nice. It was spread out pretty slow and steady and didn't come down very hard at all. And everything soaked in. Like none of the creeks were running at all. I mean, it all went into the soil. So yeah, so that was good. I don't know what you guys got in your neck of the woods. I know everybody got like way more than what we got. Like I was hearing like up to like 5 to 8 inches in some places. So that'll make some creeks run. Not around here, but by golly, good for those folks. Busy week next week here between brandings every single day, setting up for my branding. I brand on Friday, and then on Saturday, I got one on that. And then I go to Medora, and I'm doing the Teddy Roosevelt Medora Foundation auction, or fundraiser auction. So, yeah. Since last week, Wednesday night, till now, 6 1/4. Oh, good for you. Nice. Yeah. You got to love that. Let's call Johnny up here and see what he's up to. Whoops.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to...
Okay. Pretty sure that was his number. Yeah, 2438. Maybe I didn't do it right. Those tones.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying...
Well, there you go. See what he says about that. Oh, there he's calling me. There you are.
Yeah, you got it?
There you are. Yeah.
Are we on?
Yeah.
Okay. It silences your call because it doesn't recognize your name from RAIM. And I haven't figured out my phone how to do that.
My studio number, I suppose it's coming in as a private number. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it won't let, it just says silence number. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah. Well, we're live on YouTube for a couple minutes here before we start. I do the same.
Okay.
I time it out the same, so I'm lazy that way.
No, that's fine. No problema. I just got back down from got to go all the way around because the river's too high.
Is it?
Good. Ain't gonna be going across that thing anytime soon.
Well, how much did you get at the ranch out there?
Well, my gauge said probably 5 inches, but I think it was more because everybody else around me said it was more. I think Levi said he had 7 at his place.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got a lot of, it's good. It's much needed. Kind of put me behind a little bit, but I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. No.
How'd you guys do?
2.5 inches roughly. So, yeah.
Well, that's better than a kick in the butt, right?
Well, in this country, that's pretty good. 2.5 will go quite a ways. It'll make us into June at least.
Yeah.
Jesse said 6.1 at his place in Hazen.
Wow. I was going to get that app. Jason or Levi's got that app, but it costs money. I'm too cheap. Because it will show you like 7 days or something like that. And I think I had 5 inches.
Yeah, but that app also said that there was like 17 inches over by New England. And I talked to a lot of people where that was at, and they're like, no. Because that was right at Trell Shapkowski's place. It showed like 17 inches on an app. And it was like, he's like, no. So what I do is if you go to Endon, NDAWN, it showed there's weather stations at the NDSU extension has across the entire state. And you can go to your area and pull that up, and that's really accurate for what it is, and it's free.
There you go. I like free.
Yeah. So I think they got one in Flasher. I haven't checked the map there, but pretty sure they got one in there. Hell, it might be out by your guys' hill up there too. We just never know.
No, like I said, all I know is it looked good. Although I'm not sure about the corn if it got froze. I was looking at some of the guys' corn, and it looks pretty yellow.
Really?
Yeah.
That's probably from water, so much water, but I didn't think it got cold enough to freeze.
I didn't think so either, but maybe you're right. It's just the water.
Sometimes if they get too much water at one time, But
yeah,
that should sure. If we get some heat days now, this next week we get in the 70s like it shows. You should be able to see that corn grow pretty fast.
Well, that's why I came down here because I'm heading to Canada, and I was like, man, if I'm away for a week, and I'm gonna come back, and I had some rye that I had to knock down. I planted last year, and it didn't come. We had no moisture, so it didn't grow, and it started growing this spring. But it was pretty, I bet, a foot tall.
I'll be damned. Jesse
and
says,
I guess I don't.
he says that there's an end-on station 9 miles northeast of Carson, so it'd be right in your neck of the woods. Pretty close, anyway.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Scott Bulgy, he says why it's turning yellow: lack of heat and cool temperatures. So,
is that what it is?
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we got 30 seconds to showtime here.
So what do you got going tomorrow that you're not something about branding?
Yeah, I got to ride out at 7:30, so I got to leave my place about 6:30, 6:45 to get out of here. Get down to the guy's place, so we got to. It's going to be. Hopefully, they push a little bit harder. Okay, stand by here. We got 5 seconds here. T-show time. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio. Heard all across the great territory on stations like KGFX out of Pierre, KOLY in Mobridge, K-Fire 550, celebrating 100 years. Bismarck, Mandan, KCJB, and Minot, Western Edge, KLTC, and 106.9 on the FM side. Good to have you along here this morning as we get another, well, hopefully everybody's spirits are a little bit better because we had rain across most of the Dakota Territory. John Arman is my guest from Ultimate Outdoor Adventures Television. John, it's amazing the attitude difference and how the attitudes change when we get rain like we did. Makes a big difference.
Oh, huge difference. I was talking to some ranchers down in South Dakota and stuff, and he said, and they got just a couple inches, but he said, man, everybody's spirits were up and everything is going, and it was getting close to where people were in trouble. I mean, getting real close to losing things because it's been 2 years of drought.
Yeah. Well, we're not out of the woodworks yet. I mean, this will heal us up for a little while, but if we don't get the timely rains, throughout the rest of the year too, it might. If you don't like the weather in the Dakota Territory, what did they say? Just wait 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, like I said, you're 5 minutes away from drought, 5 minutes away from a flood, and 5 minutes away from a snowstorm. So it's like you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, let's talk food plots to start things out because I know we'll discuss a little bit of bear hunting going on here, but let's discuss a little food plot situation. With this rain and everything, your attitude's got to be a lot better with whatever you put in. And what did you put in this year?
Well, I actually have not got anything in. I'm a little bit behind the way that the weather was. But again, for me with food plots, one of the things I used to do and I made mistakes on is I put them in too early, I think. I'm not trying to make a bumper crop, and I know that out east, they get their stuff in 2 weeks early. It makes a huge difference. Here, they say, a lot of guys want things in the first week of May, second week of May for like row crops. But for me, with this moisture now, if I put in corn when I get back in a week, it's still going to do okay for the wildlife. And the soybeans are going to be, like I said, the later you plant those, the greener they stay in September as long as there's not a frost. So with this moisture, I think I should be sitting pretty good when I come back.
That's one of the things that you got to stay on top of the weeds and everything. But corn and soybeans, is that still your go-to?
It really is. And then I'm going to do some, last year I planted some alfalfa, which we don't have around here. I just planted, probably a half acre to an acre in a couple spots, and it actually caught real well and it's coming in. So I'm excited about that, but I'll put some soybeans in, some corn, and then I'm going to go with a lot of turnips. Turnips are always good because they produce a lot of tonnage, and that the deer seem to absolutely love them when they freeze. And it's just one of those crops that they grow well in North Dakota. And if you get them in the ground, like I say, they say wait till July, but here in North Dakota, go June, and you're going to have softball size turnips instead of having little golf ball size ones when we don't get rain.
Now, is the turnip thing, is that like an all season, or do they just hit them in the fall time when they ripen up?
Well, what they do, the blend that I use has got some different kinds of brassicas in there. There's some kale, a little bit of clover in there. So they kind of go through there throughout the summer and nibble on it. And they really don't bother the turnip leaves until they frost. And once they frost, they kind of turn sugary. And then they start hitting the leaves, and they'll clean those leaves off. But then the bulbs themselves, they'll gnaw on those things throughout the winter until they kind of get mushy. After winter sets out and spring's coming in, they get kind of mushy, and then they'll leave them alone. But during the wintertime, they'll gnaw on them. It's kind of crazy how you got little saucers throughout the field, little white things all over because they just kind of eat them down and cup them.
There's some discussion. I was on an online forum reading some of these guys because everybody is on a keyboard warrior now, right? So what is the right size for a food plot in your mind?
Well, the way I do it is I've got the key is if you have too small and you don't fence it out, they're going to eat it out before the season. So if you put in 2 acres of soybeans, they're not going to last because the deer will there's too much pressure on them, too much browse, and they won't let them grow. But if you fence them out, they could last. And what I like to do is most of mine are 4 to 5 acres, but then I'll have kill plots, which are on the inside, like say a tree line. We've got an 80-acre woodlot along the river, and it comes into a 9-acre field. In that 9-acre field, I'll plant soybeans and corn. And on the inside of it, about 80 yards in, I'll make a small little kill plot. And what that will be is it could be just some brassicas, anything that they can nibble on because they'll come there. They stage before it gets, and wait till the light goes down a little bit, especially when the season comes, and it makes for a great place to kill a deer. So I kind of use two different tactics when it comes to that, big and small.
I know some people are discussing that put corn on the outside, soybeans in the inside. So as they come in, they feel comfortable because they kind of feel like the corn's keeping them hidden a little bit. Do you follow that same rule too?
And some of them, the only thing you got to make sure is you don't make it too close, because it's no different than we are. You get claustrophobic. But a lot of guys are using screenings. They make this kind of Egyptian wheat, which will grow 12, 14 feet, and especially in areas that are a little further south to us, where you can use that to get in and out of your fields. And you can also separate your fields, because I've read articles where these guys, they'll chop their fields up. It's almost like a maze. And, there'll be a set of deer around one corner, a set of deer around the next corner, and they don't see each other, and then they don't bother each other. So there's all kinds of things out there. Some guys put a lot of effort into it. And for me, I'm just putting in those fields, and sometimes it's half corn, half soybeans, but I really don't block it off or try to screen it or anything like that. Most of my plots are far enough away from the road that they're not going to be bothered.
Another thing that I was watching too on the food plot side of things is some discussion went on is you should never hunt the deer in the food plot. You should hunt it on its way between the food plot and its bedding area. What's your take on that?
Well, I've read those articles and seen the guy that talks about it. And, if you can kill that deer on a food plot, I hunt a lot of deer on the food plot. Since we started hunting food plots, the way our land's set up, we have big draws that come up onto the flats. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty hard to sit in the draw without getting busted. So you got to stay up top. So you're basically up top on the edge of the food plots, and you just let them come in. And for most of the time, they come into that food plot. They'll mill around. They don't stay there all night long. That's the crazy thing about deer. You could have 10 different food plots, and they will go through all 10 of yours and go into your neighbors that have the same thing, because they kind of mosey or meander until they get so far, then they bed down, they chew their cud, and they kind of repeat. So we hunt them on the food plots all the time.
Well, we'll talk more about this, and keeping a food plot up too. There's a lot of work to be involved. Some people just let them go. Some people are pretty adamant about getting those weeds out of there, but we'll save that. We're up against our first break here. John Arman from Ultimate Outdoor Adventures TV is my guest here. Pre-recorded show here today because, yes, it is branding season, and I am getting on the road early, so I had to do a little pre-recorded show the night before, so I appreciate that. So you can't call in, but if you are watching on my live feed right now, as it is being recorded, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to send them my way, 701-425-6651, or live chat on YouTube Live. We'll be back with more John Arman on Dakota Prairie Outdoors after these messages.
For over 80 years, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been a leader in ag financing because we understand the business of creating relationships is more than an interest rate. Agriculture is a foundation to the community, and we are here to help your operation expand, grow, and continue to the next generation. Talk to our ag lending team today.
Community looking out for you. At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Equal housing lender.
There's a reason you're seeing more Red Angus cattle in the country. Great mama cows, high weaning weights, and easy keepers. With a family that bases their entire operation on faith, honesty, and trust. You can see those values in their 30-plus years in the Red Angus breed. Schriefer Red Angus, the breed that generates a positive return on investment. SchrieferRedAngus.com. Bowman Livestock Marketing, serving the tri-state area for all of your livestock marketing needs. Eastern Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. You can be sure of great care for your cattle and top price at sale time. Call Austin Snook at 307-290-2161. That's 307-290-2161 for more information or just to talk cattle markets. You can also find them on Facebook and go to their website, BowmanLivestockMarketing.com.
Celebrating 25 years of results, Pfeiffer's Auctioneers is your trusted partner for farm and heavy equipment auctions across the Upper Midwest. Join Pfeiffer's for this year's Upper Midwest Mega Equipment Auction. This live online auction features John Deere 8R tractors, S-Series combines, R-Series sprayers, Peterbilt semis, Polar and Bale tankers, heavy equipment, farm and ranch equipment, and so much more. For full details, information, and online bidding on dozens of land and equipment auctions throughout the region, log on to Pfeiffer's.com.
MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Mo-Rest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet, a family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer. Rockin' 7W has all the panels you need. Freestanding panels, windbreak panels, feeder panels, and the original protester panel. If you don't know what that is, it's a sort panel that makes sorting calves from a cow a breeze. You can do it in a fraction of time with just one person on foot or horseback. You can custom order sizes to fit your current operation, or you can start from scratch. Rockin' 7W also does trailer repair on any size trailers, mobile welding, and custom cattle hauling. Call Justin at Rockin' 7W at 701-206-1030. That's 701-206-1030. Rockin' 7W, the farmer and rancher's go-to guy. This portion of the program is brought to you by Freedom Repair. Whether it's a tractor, baler, your cutter, your combine, or air seeder, Freedom Repair comes to you and helps you get fixed up and back in the field. 19 plus years experience. Give Lucas Kelly a call at 701-440-1945. That's 701-440-1945. Freedom Repair, veteran-owned and operated. Western Frontier Insurance, agents that understand you, your needs, and the community. Whether you're looking for coverage on your farm, ranch, home, or auto, you can trust that Western Frontier Insurance will find you a combination of price and coverage that works for you. No fancy jingles, no talking boxes or talking animals, just good neighbors helping to keep you covered with price in mind. Western Frontier Insurance. Offices in Hazen, Washburn, Wilton, Bowman, and Hettinger.
Celebrating 25 years of results, Pfeiffer's Auctioneers is your trusted partner for farm and heavy equipment auctions across the Upper Midwest. Join Pfeiffer's for this year's Upper Midwest Mega Equipment Auction. This live online auction features John Deere 8R tractors, S-Series combines, R-Series sprayers, Peterbilt semis, Polar and Bale tankers, heavy equipment, farm and ranch equipment, and so much more. For full details, information, and online bidding on dozens of land and equipment auctions throughout the region, log on to Pfeiffer's.com.
I'm Dale Paulke with Dakota Community Bank and Trust, where local banking is as comfortable as your favorite pair of work boots. Step into our branches and experience a friendly atmosphere, personalized service, and financial expertise. Whether you're a hardworking farmer, a small business owner, or a local resident, we've got the banking solutions that you need. So kick off your boots and let us take care of your financial needs at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
equal housing lender.
On that road. But don't you worry, one day I'll settle down. And when that time comes, I hope you're still around.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition. On a good day, right? I mean, it's branding day for me, so this is a pre-recorded show. I did it last night here, and John Arman from Ultimate Outdoor Adventures TV is my guest here. Welcome back, John. So I got a couple of questions. We're discussing food plots, and the mayor says, do you ever plant like oats or wheatgrass and mix that in with any of your food plots?
I do. Oats I use a lot as cover crops. So like last year when I put in the alfalfa, I actually used barley with the alfalfa. I'll plant oats and peas, which again does real well, but you guys got to remember those peas, they mature fast. So, you think they're going to stay green and you get all excited, but again, the deer still hit it late season because there's the oats in there. But again, I still feel that the number one is corn and soybeans. It's just, I don't know what it is. You can't beat it. And then the brassicas, again, because of the tonnage, and it gives them a little something different. But I would say the majority of our deer we've killed have been on soybean fields and corn fields.
It's interesting, most food plots that people put in are always centered around deer. And I have a feeling that, I have an area I'd like to put 3 food plots. I really would want to do this. But I'm also thinking on the elk side of things too. And I know elk like corn because my neighbors put that in a few years back, and the elk just decimated that field. It was crazy how much damage there was in this thing. But a person has to start thinking about more than just deer anymore when you're putting these food plots, and especially trying to time them out, especially when elk season starts like in September. So, I mean, you're trying to organize this, but I think, like you said, corn is just a good staple to go back to. I wonder what they would do in soybeans. If there's any listeners, if you have elk and soybeans, let me know what that looks like.
Yeah, when we're talking about elk, and I'm looking at my stealth cam, I just pulled my card, and what do you think I got standing there? Is a big ugly elk. Look, got some cows moving around here, and I've seen some bulls that are pushing out probably 2.5, 3 feet on their antlers already. It's kind of crazy how fast.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that here. You're cutting out just a little bit, John, here, but for the most part, we got you going on. I know it's nice to live in the middle of nowhere, but when a person needs to do a cell phone call or something, it's a little tough, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. I switched over. I got off the speaker, but when you're talking about elk, one of the things that my buddy out in Montana uses, and again, alfalfa, of course, they like, and it's hard for them to knock down alfalfa and wreck it like they do corn, but they also the turnips. They seem to handle the turnips handle the pressure from elk because they can step on them. They can knock them down and they can still be edible. Where when you're looking at your corn, they wreck half of it and they eat probably a quarter of it. And they do like soybeans too because we've had them in our soybeans. So
I know last year my neighbor put in some sorghum, and I went over and put it up for hay. And I tell you what, I don't know if they ate it, but they sure did like bedding down in sorghum.
Yes, they do. I know that Shelby and her boyfriend Connor and his brothers do a lot of hunting in millet and sorghum for mule deer. They bed down. They feel comfortable in it because they got those big fields in South Dakota. And, I think it makes for some great spot and stalking. But I think the elk, like you said, I noticed in my peas and my oats, I don't know how much they were eating, but there's sure a lot of beds in there.
I was telling you during the break, we had our annual Grazing Association meeting on Wednesday. And part of that, we have the Forest Service comes down and gives their little spiel. And then the Game and Fish came down, and Jeb Williams came down this year. And we're discussing, the black bear that are coming into North Dakota now. It's something we didn't think we'd ever have to talk about, but it is. My neighbor took a cinnamon phase bear here, and so it's something that's coming around. But one thing we were discussing was the use of thermal imaging, and what we could do to help the farmers and ranchers out there with cattle loss, because coyotes are killing. I mean, it's amazing how many calves are being killed by coyotes this year. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And like I told him, I said it'd be nice to see that thermal imaging extended, instead of it stopping on March 15th. And, he did ask me after we were done. We had a nice conversation, and kudos for that. I appreciate that, Jeb, if you're listening. And, one of the things he asked what I'd do different. And I says, well, if you're worried about people using thermal imaging during big game season, let's start September 1st and go to the end of November when deer season is done and do that instead of, not allowing us to use it during calving season. And, he kind of, it's a different take, right? I mean, you got to look at it. I don't like going out in the middle of the night while I'm calving. I'd like to get some sleep sometimes too, but it's also not very fun to go out in February and midnight. It's kind of cold, but it is a lot of fun in the middle of July. I think, going out a nice summer night, especially with those pups, I think that would be a lot of fun.
Well, and again, I still don't, and I haven't talked to Jeb in a while, but that's one since I started doing thermal. My biggest thing is, okay, so we have our yellow lab just got attacked within the last month. 6:30 in the morning, he got stitches in his chest and in his hind quarter from 2 coyotes coming up on my mom. We live along the game and fish, in the core land, but they're so brazen now that they came up and they attacked him on the basketball court when my sister was outside. My wife just sent me a picture of a cat that was just killed in our backyard because I heard the coyotes going nuts last night. There's definitely more and more coyotes. And I've never understood why we can't use thermal year round. I don't understand even the big game season because, a guy that's illegal, a guy that poaches is going to use it no matter what. He doesn't need a season to do it. If he's going to go kill, and I don't know if they're worried about guys shooting them or just using them to locate deer. But again, you can locate a buck in the middle of the night and he's not going to be there in the morning. So I'm not sure why we continually make rules and regulations that kind of take things out of the law-abiding citizen, and we cater to the criminals.
Well, and it's a tool in our toolbox, right? I mean, and it's absolutely it's a good tool. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is that so why not let you and I do that instead of me having to call the Game and Fish and them spending the money to fly our place? Which isn't cheap, when you think about flying an airplane, getting up there and hiring someone, or sending out the trapper, that's for somebody that isn't capable of taking care of their land or maybe doesn't hunt. But if guys want to hunt and want to hunt them, I think we should, there should be all out war on these things because we're starting to see them encroach more and more in areas. And like I said, there's no shortage of them, and it would be nice to be able to hunt them when the pups come out. And I know South Dakota does.
Yeah, they're very gracious with what you can do in South Dakota, Montana too. They definitely support that. But you look at like I said, if they're really worried about people using it during big game season, you're right. Criminals are a criminal, right? And Josh said the same thing. He says that we're going to break the law no matter what. But if I feel there's some certain wildlife organizations that they don't want to see that. There's actually some people out there saying that thermal imaging hunting is ruining coyote hunting. I mean, coyote hunters are against coyote hunters on some of this stuff, John, and that's just not right.
Yeah, and again, like I said, it's like it's a tool in your toolbox. Yeah. And like I said, when I hear them, when I hear them yipping in my backyard, I go run out to my shop, grab my thermal, and start scanning. Because I know they're in my backyard and they're coming up, into the, my paddock area and stuff like that. So during that time when I'm able to use it, and no offense, if there's coyotes in my backyard and I got dogs and I got livestock, I'm shooting them anytime, anywhere, anyhow, because there's nothing in this world that would, like my wife was distraught when she sent me that picture today of that cat. It's not even our cat, it's one of those deals that a guy shouldn't have to worry about coyotes coming in their backyard.
And what's scary about that is that they just killed the cat and didn't take it. And so that just comes to me as like, they're out there just doing this for fun. They're not doing it to survive. So we're up against our next break here. John will continue this conversation. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about your trip that you're possibly going up to Canada, possibly coming to my branding. we'll see how that goes here as we continue into the second half of the program. Again, 701-425-6651, and I'm live chatting on YouTube as well here. This is pre-recorded for Saturday morning because I am at this time, we're already chasing cattle here at this time. We'll be back with more after these messages.
For over 80 years, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been a leader in ag financing because we understand the business of creating relationships is more than an interest rate. Agriculture is a foundation to the community, and we are here to help your operation expand, grow, and continue to the next generation. Talk to our ag lending team today.
Community looking out for you. At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Equal housing lender.
There's a reason you're seeing more Red Angus cattle in the country. Great mama cows, high weaning weights, and easy keepers. With a family that bases their entire operation on faith, honesty, and trust. You can see those values in their 30-plus years in the Red Angus breed. Schrieffer Red Angus, the breed that generates a positive return on investment. SchrieferRedAngus.com. Bowman Livestock Marketing, serving the tri-state area for all of your livestock marketing needs. Eastern Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. You can be sure of great care for your cattle and top price at sale time. Call Austin Snook at 307-290-2161. That's 307-290-2161 for more information or just to talk cattle markets. You can also find them on Facebook and go to their website, BowmanLivestockMarketing.com.
Celebrating 25 years of results, Pfeiffer's Auctioneers is your trusted partner for farm and heavy equipment auctions across the Upper Midwest. Join Pfeiffer's for this year's Upper Midwest Mega Equipment Auction. This live online auction features John Deere 8R tractors, S-Series combines, R-Series sprayers, Peterbilt semis, Polar and Bale tankers, heavy equipment, farm and ranch equipment, and so much more. For full details, information, and online bidding on dozens of land and equipment auctions throughout the region, log on to Pfeifers.com.
MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Morest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet, a family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer. Rockin' 7W has all the panels you need. Freestanding panels, windbreak panels, feeder panels, and the original protester panel. If you don't know what that is, it's a sort panel that makes sorting calves from a cow a breeze. You can do it in a fraction of time with just one person on foot or horseback. You can custom order sizes to fit your current operation, or you can start from scratch. Rockin' 7W also does trailer repair on any size trailers, mobile welding, and custom cattle hauling. Call Justin at Rockin' 7W at 701-206-1030. That's 701-206-1030. Rockin' 7W, the farmer and rancher's go-to guy. This portion of the program is brought to you by Freedom Repair. Whether it's your tractor, baler, your cutter, your combine, or air seeder, Freedom Repair comes to you and helps you get fixed up and back in the field. 19 plus years experience. Give Lucas Kelly a call at 701-440-1945. That's 701-440-1945. Freedom Repair, veteran-owned and operated. Western Frontier Insurance, agents that understand you, your needs, and the community. Whether you're looking for coverage on your farm, ranch, home, or auto, you can trust that Western Frontier Insurance will find you a combination of price and coverage that works for you. No fancy jingles, no talking boxes or talking animals, just good neighbors helping to keep you covered with price in mind. Western Frontier Insurance. Offices in Hazen, Washburn, Wilton, Bowman, and Hettinger.
Celebrating 25 years of results, Pfeiffer's Auctioneers is your trusted partner for farm and heavy equipment auctions across the Upper Midwest. Join Pfeiffer's for this year's Upper Midwest Mega Equipment Auction. This live online auction features John Deere 8R tractors, S-Series combines, R-Series sprayers, Peterbilt semis, Polar and Bale tankers, heavy equipment, farm and ranch equipment, and so much more. For full details, information, and online bidding on dozens of land and equipment auctions throughout the region, log on to Pfeifers.com.
I'm Dale Paulke with Dakota Community Bank and Trust, where local banking is as comfortable as your favorite pair of work boots. Step into our branches and experience a friendly atmosphere, personalized service, and financial expertise. Whether you're a hardworking farmer, a small business owner, or a local resident, we've got the banking solutions that you need. So kick off your boots and let us take care of your financial needs at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Equal housing lender.
On that road, but don't you worry, one day I'll settle down. And when that time comes, I hope you're still around.
Welcome back, everybody. Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition. A little pre-recorded here. I'm in probably right by now here. I'm probably getting the last of the cows in right now here. So here we go. Ultimate Outdoor Adventure guy, Mr. John Arman is my guest. John, we got a couple of questions here. And it says, if the state sends a person to eliminate coyotes, and in this area it's Fish and Wildlife Service, if we need help, can that individual use thermal, or is it daylight hours only? And from what I talk about, the guy that comes through my area, they can use thermal. It's an exception because they're helping the rancher and doing that. So and snares also, where I personally can't use thermal or snares, but the Fish and Wildlife Service can. So that's what I know for the guy that's at my place.
Have you ever asked that question point blank, Scott?
No.
That can you thermal this time of year, like say your cabin, if you got coyotes in and they're harassing your cattle, I would think that they don't have a leg to stand on that, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, so that did come up against him at our meeting, and Jeb says, yes, if we're having issues and there's coyotes in our cattle, we can use that. We can even have an agent, like I can have you as an agent go out there and help me do it so I can get some sleep doing it. So yes, if they're messing with your cattle, you can do that. But, just like if you just wanted to come out and go coyote hunting for the fun of it, you have to go abide by the thermal rules and regulations on that.
And I wonder if is that a legislature rule, or that's a Game and Fish rule, isn't it?
I'm not positive if that's legislation or proclamation. I'm not positive on that. I could look it up. I couldn't tell you on that one. I think it's proclamation, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, like I said, I did it for the first time this year, and I killed a few of them, and it was enjoyable. But it would be more enjoyable right now when it's not 30 below. And like I said, it's fun and it's efficient, Yeah.
Well, hopefully we get something figured out with the game. I think they're going to help us out here quite a bit on that, but fingers crossed, right? That was a good conversation that I had with Jeb. So hopefully we can have more of those positive side of questions and communication. However, I talked to Levi last week about his bear hunting trip in Montana. I had Emily Bendish on there. She was successful on one of her bears, really nice big bear. Are you headed to Canada again? You got your slang on you, hoser?
Yeah, we got the toques all ready to head north and sing what is the old ooh, coo, 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 coo. Remember that show? Freaking
I have no idea. I have no idea what you just did.
Doug and Bob McKenzie, composer. It was a movie back in the 70s, and they were brothers that played hockey, and they were Canadians, and it was quite the comical show. But anyway, we'll skip that one. But yeah, we are. I'm pretty much kind of packed up. We've been waiting. There's wildfires up there, and there was last year too. We actually drove through a burn to get there, and this year again it's happening. Our outfitter sent us a text and said he's not sure, but just plan on it. And I got one today, and he said it looks good. So I'm hoping things are going to go our way, because I know everybody. I've got Tanner Olson, who was my salesperson at KFR when we first started, and he's a first-time bear hunter, and he's going up, and he is super jacked. And then Mike Kramer and his son Camden, who went up last year with us, are going again, and Mike's going to be hunting, and Camden. And I'm gonna take kind of the back seat and film. And if someone kills one right away, and we still got good bears on camera, I may buy a tag myself. But just going up there more than anything to have fun and kind of share that experience with some guys that haven't had it before.
It'd be a great time. Like I was telling Levi, I wish that bear season wouldn't be when it's like still. I'm still got some cows calving and some later ones here, and we got try to help the neighbors. I'm looking at the wildland fire map for Canada right now. Holy cow!
Yeah,
They got some big ones up in that area, don't they?
yes, they do. And it's like I said, it's super dry. There's a lot of fuel up there because you're in that bush country. It's just nothing but brush and pines, and they've been dry for a couple years now. And I know that like by Cranberry Portage, where we go up through, there was a fire there earlier a couple weeks ago. So, fingers crossed, because those fires, they can turn, the wind switches and it can change everything.
Yeah, right now I'm looking. I mean, they must have 20, 30 different fires all across, and some of them are some pretty good sized ones too. Well, some of them are over 1,000 acres.
Yeah. And again, it's pretty hard. You're out in the middle of this bush. I mean, it's crazy. There's not a lot of access to anything. So I don't even know how you fight those fires.
Yeah.
It's the wintertime, they go in there, when there's ice and things like that, and they, make lines and all kinds of stuff like that. But during this time of year, when it's swampy and boggy, I don't know how you get in there unless you're doing it all by air.
Well, and sometimes you just got to let them burn out, right? I mean, there's places you can't get to, and that's just part of, guess it's part of Mother Nature too.
Yeah, that's the management part of it. But yeah, like I said, we're excited. And I know I listened to that show last week. Super excited that Emily, like I said, known her since she's been a little girl with her dad. I'm sure he's smiling down on her, knowing that she killed that beautiful bear. So it's pretty cool to see her out there in Montana enjoying that. And Levi, the same thing. And it's one of those deals that it's a different style of hunting. And like you guys have talked about, some people say it's unfair, but I'll tell you what, I'll challenge anybody to sit on the ground with a 500-pound bear circling them with a bow and arrow and see how unfair it is.
Because in Canada, you can use barrels of sweets, right? I mean, what they use a little bit of everything in there, don't they?
Yes, and what people don't understand is that bears are a nuisance in Canada. So the community, that the little Native American Indian village that we're up where we're out of, they kill probably, I don't know how many bears a year in their garbage pits and in town and things like that. So they hate them. They hate them like we do coyotes. So they're a nuisance. There's a lot of them up there. They're actually good to eat. I got a roast that's going to be taken out tomorrow, and I'm going to make it for our trip up there. We give a lot of our meat to some of the natives up there that like it because it's good medicine, and they also like the bear meat. And I think people just don't understand that if you didn't bait them up there, it'd be pretty tough. You could kill a bear or two on those roads because they have long roads. You just have to walk it with a rifle, but it'd be pretty tough with a bow just because there's not enough clear cuts where you can see them. And you just have a narrow opening on these roads that are probably, maybe 5 yards across. And so it's kind of a tough deal. So without baiting them, you'd have a tough time killing them.
Yeah. And like you said, too, I mean, you're doing it different. You're actually sitting on the ground with them and waiting for them to come in bow range. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Last year when I sat, I had 3 bears. I had 2 boars. One was probably around 300. The other one that I ended up killing was over 400. And when he came in, I could hear him just making all kinds of noise. He was drooling because there was a sow in there. And thank goodness I had 2 cameras that I was concentrating running. Otherwise, I'm not sure what I'd have done, because it gets a little sketchy because they know you're there and they kind of pay attention to you, but don't pay attention to you. And there's always that question in the back of your mind, are they coming or are they going when they get so close?
Yeah. And from what I hear, they can climb trees pretty fast too.
Oh yeah. Like I said, just being in a tree doesn't mean you're safe, but it just makes you feel better. And I'll be sitting with Camden, and the only good thing that Camden knows is that he's a lot quicker than I am. So I'll be bear bait. He'll be gone before I even get out of the seat. So
are the Canadian bear, black bear, like you see all the white-tailed deer and everything in Canada seems to have a bigger body on them. Is that true for the bear too?
Well, like I said, compared to like when Levi's talking about Montana bears, shooting a 400, 500-pound bear up in the mountains I don't think happens very often. Maybe like in upstate New York and things like that, but Montana. But when you're up in Canada, I just saw a bear that one of my buddies shot, and it's over 5. There's some giant bears.
Yeah.
And a guy most people don't understand the weight of a bear. Most bears probably killed are 250 pounds. They just look big. And when a big one comes in, it's like a Volkswagen coming in. There is no question in your mind that he's a shooter. And they'll be, like I said, mine was over 400 pounds. And you're talking a spring bear. So come fall, he's pushing 500. The one that Scott Henninger shot was probably 500 pounds. And he's probably pushing close to 600 pounds in the fall, so there's some big critters.
Big. And do you put these barrels out? Do you have to put sweets in them every day? Do you have to check them once a week? How does it work? I mean, how do you know where to sit and which way the wind's coming and all that?
Well, what we do is, like I said, this is the place we go is on a scale of 1 to 10. Most people would consider it to be about a 2 as far as an outfitted place, because it's not professionally done. It's not. I've been to places where they have 50-gallon or bigger, those big plastic drums, and they're full of bait. And they have little holes in them. They've got cashews. They've got gummy worms. They've got everything known to mankind. They're chained to the tree. They'll have a beaver case where they have a beaver strapped in there. And these bears will come in. They pour grease all over, so the bears track grease to and from, and the other bears will follow it in. But the bears have to work at these baits. The baits we're hunting probably only have about 5 to 10 pounds of oats and grease in them a day, and we bait them as we go in. But the bears have been coming to these spots. They've been coming since they've been cubs, and so they know that there's going to be food there. And the problem is, some guys will say if you put too much there, then they don't have to come in. But if you put too little there, it takes them 10 minutes to clean it out, and they're gone.
Right.
So it's one of those deals. There's always ifs and buts and beer and nuts type deal that some guys say this, some guys say that. But we've been lucky, and it's been working. I take up some scents. We spray smoke, bacon smell. You can start your little jet boil with a piece of bacon in there. And, but again, you got to be careful with dry weather. But you can do little, they call them like little burns or like a honey burn. And bears got great noses, so when they smell that, they're going to come and investigate.
So I was watching this thing on social media, and I thought about this as bear hunting. This guy took a jar of peanut butter, plastic jar, cut the bottom off, screwed the lid to the tree, and screwed it in there. And it's amazing how many different style animals came in licking on peanut butter. So is that an option too?
Yeah, and like I said, you can use that. I've hunted over jelly donuts. One of the outfitters uses all kinds of cake icing, and he smears it all over. These bears will pick out their favorite Skittle. There's candy factories that get rid of all this candy, and these guys use them. And like I said, bears are they're like us. They eat anything that's sweet. And like I said, most of the time the staple is oats and grease. And but you can add the sweets to it, but the hard part is getting things across the border. They have regulations, so we kind of just rely on what the outfitter's using. And again, it's hard to second guess them because we're killing bears.
Yeah. So I'm guessing there's certain things in Canada that you can't find in the United States, like all dressed chips and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, ketchup chips. It's like
sneak a bag of those all dressed back for me. I want to try them.
Yeah, they're good. I remember there's a quick story. Kurt, we got into, I think it was the salt and vinegar chips for the first time. And he had 2 bags on the way up to Canada because we had never had those in the United States. All I know is we had to make a quick stop at a little store. And it was a one holer, and it was right next to the cash register.
Oh, geez.
It wasn't good.
Oh, yeah. What else is there? They have poutine or whatever it's called, gravy and fries or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So gotta be.
It's a different world up there, and that's one of the things I love about going every spring is that, we've been cooped up all year, and you're excited to get out. You get up there, the smells of the Canadian wilderness and the bush are absolutely amazing. The sounds of the different birds, they have like a rough grouse that beats his chest, or he makes all kinds of noise. And then there's some other birds up there that are squawking. We've seen fishers or martins up there. I've seen wolves on bait. I've seen caribou on bait. So you just never know what is going to happen up there. And just the experience of watching bears in their own habitat and how they react to each other it's kind of humbling because they're an amazing creature.
So do you just bear hunt only, or do you have time to go do some fishing or other events?
Well, we're going to be fishing. What this outfitter's got some baits that are on the lake, but some things changed up there, and it was nice when he had 6 or 7 baits on the lake because we'd go out there and fish till about 2 o'clock and then go hunt. Well, now we are on the highway to hell, which is 32 kilometers of the worst road you've ever seen. But at the end of that 32 kilometers, there's a little river, and you can catch fish left and right. So it's not a fun drive, but to go catch fish for shore lunch is kind of nice. And this year, I'm actually leaving the boat behind, and we're taking up 2 Rangers. And the outfitter is going to let us use his boat if we want to go fishing. And it all depends on if people are catching fish, because last year it wasn't real good for us out on the lake. But this year it could be, and he'll let us use their boat, and we'll maybe tag along with someone or get a local guide just to take us out for one day so I don't get lost, because I'm not real good on the water.
All right. So you said that this is kind of not a high dollar type of outfitter, but what's it cost? What is a bear tag and your fuel to get up there and back? And what would you say it costs altogether here? I mean, what are you looking at?
I would say for an average bear hunt right now is going to run you about $3,500 to $4,000. We just happen to be in a spot that is about $2,500. It's one of those deals. It's been built on a relationship over years, and we're lucky. We keep it. It's one of those deals that if I could, I would take everybody hunting. But this is one of those places that you don't tell anybody about, because it doesn't take long before you're not going to have a spot to hunt anymore.
Yeah.
And so we're just careful, and that's why I try to take friends up whenever I can, because, like I said, I've killed quite a few bears in my life, and I still love doing it, but it's just as fun watching someone else take their first bear. So that's why I like to get other people and kind of share that experience. I think that's what it's all about. We've been fortunate in my life and my career that I've gotten to go on some pretty cool hunts, and a big part of it's sharing it with other people.
Now, when you said the bear tastes good, what does a person use bear? Do you make sausage out of it, or can you make some steaks out of it? What do you use?
Well, last year when we killed our bears, we deep fried them, and of course you can deep fry a skunk, and it was awesome. But the big thing about bear is it's just like pork, and you have to cook pork to 160 degrees, I think, 170 degrees, and you have to do the same thing to bear because it has trichinosis in it. So you just got to kill the bacteria. So that's the only thing you have to be careful about. So you can have steaks, but you got to have well done steaks.
Right.
You can't prepare steak. And like I said, we've had roast before, and they're very, very flavorful. And the only thing I've heard is that if you hunt in Alaska and you kill a bear that's been eating salmon, stinky fish that's dead, your bear is going to take stinky fish. So you want to kill the ones that are eating jelly donuts or blueberries.
Nice. Yeah, or jelly donuts. I like that. Gene says, is the 308 British a popular roundup in Canada for bear hunting? I know you do it by archery, but do some people do rifles up there?
Oh, yeah, and it's all what you prefer. I mean, there's a lot of times that we could have killed some giant bears because they're not stupid. They will a lot of times will go back behind the bait, and they'll sit and wait for the sow to eat and then wait for her to come out, and they won't come in. And they'll be back there 60, 70 yards. A lot of times you'll see them just going through the bush, just kind of get a glimpse of them. It's just, like I said, that's the cool thing. You'll be sitting there and you're like bored to death because nothing's happening. And all of a sudden it's a ghost that just shows up.
Yeah.
And they could be, for being 300, 400 pounds, they don't make a noise unless they want to. Sometimes they crunch and crack, and the next time they sneak right by. So rifle hunting is an option, and you just have to go through the border crossing, and you got to fill out some paperwork ahead of time, but you can take a rifle across the border. It's not that difficult.
Yeah. Well, maybe if it were me, and you going back every year like that, I'd just leave a rifle up there. That's what I do. And
we've actually thought about buying a boat to leave up there, just because hauling stuff up there. That's
Yeah.
It's a rough road up there. Canadian roads aren't always perfect, but again, we've been doing this trip. I first went up there with my dad probably 35 years ago, and I have such fond memories of going up there. And like I said, I'm going to keep doing this till the day I die.
Well, good luck to you, John, here. Hopefully everything gets it. Hopefully one of these years I can come up. That'd be a lot of fun. But we're up against the end of the show here, man. Thanks for coming on the program.
You bet, buddy. I appreciate it like always.
All right. You can listen to this show on all these radio stations on the daily program, each and every one of them, plus many more across North and South Dakota. Have yourself a great weekend. Eat some meat, drink some milk, wear fur and wool, and have yourself a dandy day, everybody. Thanks for coming in on the ride today. All righty, John. We're still on YouTube, but we're clear on the other side. Gene says, good luck to you. Josh, thanks, Josh. He says, good show. You can find all dressed chips once in a while around here. I have never seen them, I guess. I've never really looked either.
What are they called?
All dressed.
All dressed. What are they? What kind of flavor are they?
No idea. No clue. I guess I'm thinking it's like seasoned salt type of stuff, like Laurie's,
All one thing about up in Canada, and what I learned is they got lots of chips and they got lots of girly magazines in every store you stop.
Oh, is that right? That's because everybody's so remote out there. They got to have a little fun,
huh? I remember as kids, my brother would pick one up and then he would read the articles to us while we're driving.
Oh, jeez.
It was hilarious.
Actually bought it to read the articles. Josh says the chips are good. They're like all the flavors mixed together. So.
Oh, wow. Like I said, I know the ketchup chips are big up there.
Yeah, don't bring me any of those. I'm not a big ketchup fan, so.
Yeah. But like I said, it's interesting up there.
Yeah, well, I hope the best for you. Looking at this fire map, holy moly.
I know. And the thing is, it's going to be warm. It's like 65. It's supposed to be 70 and up to 80. I just need that fire to be out. I said, I don't need to be up there. And
yeah.
They get, like I said, it was going west, but like I said, the wind switches and you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully you got some good up there. You get some excitement, some stories, some video, and get some fishing in. And I don't know, what other predators are legal for you to shoot up there? I mean, can you hunt wolves? Or, I mean, is that a tag that you can get to?
I'd have to check because I know in one province we were able to. Like if you saw a wolf, it was like a coyote, but then the other one you couldn't.
Okay.
So, and I do have one on camera from last year up there. It was a black wolf. It wasn't a very big one, but it was cool as heck.
Yeah. See, I'd be that guy who's like, oh, since I'm here bear hunting, right,
yeah.
What other predators can I go after? And what else can I, that's like when I went down to Texas, same thing, it's like, so what all can I get for, it's amazing. Like everybody, right? I mean, it's like shooting prairie dogs. Like, please take them, shoot them all. Right.
I want to go to Texas and do that hog thermal hunting because I follow a guy that does it. Like, man, you can stack them up because you can sneak up on those things. You get upwind from them or downwind from them, and then they just, you can start. That's why I switched over. I'm thinking about switching over my thermal to my AR just because it's faster.
Well, I don't know I guess you can. Man, I'm not a big AR fan when it comes to that, just because then you think you have that 30 round mag or a 20 rounder, and you don't take it as serious sometimes. Well, maybe some people are good at it, but for me, in my mind, it's like I got all kinds of rounds here. Now let's shoot the hell out of everything, and I miss it. So,
and one thing I do know is that I do like that 22-250. That thing is, every coyote I've killed is stone cold.
Yeah,
and I know that those 223 guys get a lot of runners. And I do like that. And that, like I said, that new gun that I'm getting made from Jacob, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And we'll, well, he's got some big bases there. That's what I like to see.
Got some big ones. Got some big ones this year.
I can just see he's a big body deer. He's got a big chest on him. He's got some big bases. Like I said, I could look at deer every day. If I had to give up all hunting, whitetail is always my favorite, just because each one of them is so individual.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't get much. Our deer population's starting. There's some mule deer does out there, but boy, she's pretty thin. I mean, I covered a lot of ground here in the last couple of weeks fencing, and like 10 deer, right? I mean, it's pretty thin.
You know, and I was talking to Zach Kemmer at Shields, and it's a little scary. He said he's never had so much work this time of year for bows. And he goes, I hoping it's not, because everybody's getting a new bow to go archery hunting.
Yeah.
You know, because the few tags rifle hunting. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, they might have to put a limit on that too, but of course, archery isn't as, what is it, 35% success rate or something like that year after year. So I don't know.
Like people get, like I said, we'll see what happens. Like I said, it doesn't take long for that population. We can get a couple good winners. You know, the big thing is to start getting some habitat out east.
Well, I guarantee they got more deer than we have. Holy moly.
Yeah. And I don't know. Like I said, that EHD, man, we got to figure out something, because that is a freaking ass kicker.
Yeah.
Killing deer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I suppose, man, I'll let you go. I appreciate you doing this for me here tonight. Thank you, man.
I appreciate it, buddy. Take care and good luck tomorrow. Have fun.
All right. See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, tubers, thank you guys for being here with me. Appreciate it. I know it's a pre-recorded one, but you got, when your neighbor asks for help, by golly, you help them. Have yourself a good weekend, everybody. Thanks, Waylon.